is a plethora of powerlifting coaches out there. Some are very, very good, and others are pretty bad. So there are some telling factors to tell whether or not you're this online coach, the stranger that you've hired to tell you what to do in the gym, is going to be good or not. There are two major red flags that we can address. We're only going to address one of them today, and that is program deficiencies. Programming is so simple that even a computer can do it. There's Juggernaut AI and there's RP Strength out there with apps that have successfully programmed some lifters, but there are deficiencies in those. The thing with programming is pretty much everything works, and it's determining whether or not you're doing too much or too little. That's going to affect whether or not the program is right for you. There's so many programs out there that will have the checks and balances in place to determine that you are doing enough, not doing too much in the gym. And it's those checks and balances which will determine whether or not a program is good or bad. Back in the time of the Cold War, back during the Soviet Union, the Russians decided that cancer was a problem for future people, and they wanted to have the largest endowment at the endowment measuring contest known as the Olympics. So they pulled their scientists back from cancer research and like whatever humanitarian efforts were there, and they said, let's make our athletes as impossibly perfect as possible. They spent a lot of time and money researching how to produce champion level athletes on a regular basis. And that came up with the Prolepin's chart, which has been shown to not only effectively work at a high level, but a low level too. And this is where the basis of a lot of the current programs like Fifth Set, like Juggernaut, 1020 Life, stuff like that are going to tap into. This is where we're going to get into the red flags of a program that doesn't work. A lot of modern coaches want to reinvent the wheel. But the thing is the wheel's been around for so long, been tested for so long, it's been successful for so long that any reinvention to this wheel is going to be a step backwards. One of the biggest fads out there that is, in my opinion, the biggest red flag is coaching through RPE. Rate of perceived exertion, where you as a lifter have to determine to yourself how much exertion you are putting forth towards said movement. Now, RPE does have a place in programming for accessories. You never max out your curl, so you need to be able to determine what level of effort you're putting towards this accessory. But if you are getting programmed squats for RPE, it is your coach saying, I don't want to program you. I am not going to put any effort towards programming you. Program yourself, make sure it's hard, and do whatever reps that I'm going to say. At a base level, RPE it makes sense at a theoretical level. It's basically communism. On paper, it sounds good, but in practice, it never works. Pretty much everything to you will be perceived as RPE 7 until you miss a rep. Then it's RPE 10, RPE 11. And the Russians have already figured this out. They figured linear periodization works at progressing strength. You can not go beyond around 85% in training, because your CNS is not primed for that. You've got fatigue in your system. You're not going to be able to go above 85%. While you're in your training ritual, a good training program will have a training max instituted, a max that you can hit in training. That would be an an RPE 10, technically, it would be your absolute max in training. It's not going to be the same as your max on the platform. Fifth set, juggernaut, 10-20 light, conjugate. These all go and they max out at around 90%. If you have a coach who is off the bat saying we need to do RPE to find data so that I can program you correctly, you already have all the data that you need. You have your competition maxes, set a training max, set a percentage max. Prolepin's chart is basically the Bible for powerlifting. If someone's trying to reinvent the wheel, it might work. It'll work for beginners, but it's not going to work if you're past any point. And if you get past a certain point, instead of missing reps, you'll start getting injuries. Prevention, by having a good, solid program based on science and not feel, perceived exertion, is going to have you go in the long run a lot further.